Exporting images from Lightroom is a convenient way to prepare images of any size, aspect ratio or file type to competition size. Here I have 8 images that are all different sizes and shapes. So why don't we set up an export preset that we can use again and again. It'll save us a heap of time and effort. If you look over the right hand side in the section labelled metadata, as I select each of these images you can see they're all different sizes, both in dimensions and file size. This one is 14.21 megabyte, this one is 9.3 megabyte. This one is quite large because it's a stitched panorama, and I draw your attention to the dimensions, almost 24,000 pixels long and 77 megabyte in size. The export is going to deal with all of this, and although all of these are JPEGs, it will even deal with images of different file types. To begin this process, I want to select all of the images in this panel. So with the bottom right one already highlighted, I'm going to hold the Shift key and click the first, and all those in between will also be selected. Then down to the bottom left to choose Export. The very first thing we're asked to consider is where we want to export to. We've got some options here, but I think hard drive is probably going to be most of our choices. The next one which we need to change is the export location. For this particular demonstration, I'm going to stay with the desktop, but you may have a different location for these images. Remember, we're going to be creating copies resized. But I want to put mine in a subfolder, so I'm going to tick the box and give that folder a name. Camera club size seems to be appropriate. I choose not to use a Lightroom catalogue, so that's a choice which is more personal to you, whether you want to do that or not. This box here is just asking us what to do if we drag 2 images of the same type into our preset. It just stops the images one overwriting another. It'll stop and ask, which is good. So that's all we need to do there. File naming I never do until I'm ready to upload the pictures to the club's website. We're not working on video. File settings is the next important part. We need JPEG from the options here, and I'm going to suggest a quality of around 80% rather than 100%, simply because when we save our images they will be larger or smaller depending on the content of the image. If there's lots of detail and we set a level at 100%, there's a good chance that the image will break the Camera Club's rule of images not being any larger than 2 megabyte. 80 should ensure that most of the time, if not all of the time, you'll have your image correctly sized. Color space is already set correctly at sRGB, so we can move on from there. The only other panel we need is image sizing. Now it's already ticked to resize to fit the long edge, but we don't want that. We need to tell the software to consider both the width and height, again so that we get portrait format images sized correctly and huge stitched panoramas as well. But we do have to put the values in there if they're not already located in these boxes. Just type them in and tell the software to measure in pixels. Resolution is irrelevant to us, so we're virtually done. All we need to do to make sure we can come back and use this again is to come to the left of this panel and click Add. And inside of the user presets, I'm going to give my preset a name here. And I'm going to use the same thing, Camera Club size, or the same name, and create. And now I'm going to click Export, and if you look up at the top you'll see the bar going across just above my name at the top left of the screen. It shouldn't take too long, and once that's complete I'm going to navigate to Windows Explorer and take a look and see exactly what we have there. Well, there you can see I've opened up Windows Explorer to my desktop, and sure enough, there's a folder that's been created, Camera Club size, and when I open this up, we see those 8 identical images. But of course they're different now because they're all different sizes. Let's take a look as we mouse over. Let me mouse over that first one, and we can see it's 1080 pixels in height, which is perfect, by 779 and well under the 2 megabyte size. Here's one which was a square image, and you can see it's also got the dimensions perfectly correct there, 1080 by 1080. Let's move on to that huge panorama, which was almost 24,000 pixels on the long side, and it's got that perfect too, and well inside the 2 megabyte size. This one may be a little bit more interesting because yes, it's got the dimensions perfect for us, but do you notice the size of the file is much larger than the rest? This is what I was referring to when we selected that 80% JPEG compression rather than 100%. Had I set 100%, there's a good chance that this size here may have been greater than 2 megabyte, which would mean we've got to revisit our software and change things. This should avoid that if we select 80. Here's another portrait, and that's worked fine okay. So there we have them all done correctly. Let's go back into Lightroom for a moment. Back into Lightroom, I've selected 4 different images. I'm going to click the first one, hold the Shift key and click the last. What we're going to do is to reuse that export. So let me go down to the button to bring it up on screen. And I just need to tick the box to tell the software which export to use, because we could have a number of different ones here. And click the batch export, but you notice that there's a panel appears. It does give me a chance to choose a parent folder, because it could be that we're selecting images for a particular month's competition. So I'm recording this in March, so I would be possibly looking ahead to the April competitions. So maybe I would tick the box and I would choose to go to my desktop, my Camera Club, and make a new folder there, which maybe I would call April. Let's click to select the folder, and then we'll click to export those images. As soon as they're done, we'll go back into Windows Explorer and take a look. So here we are back on my desktop. There's the folder we created a few moments ago. Let's open that. And of course, we've still got the original 8 images because I never removed them from the folder. But of course, there we do have the folder we created for April. And within that, we've got a Camera Club size, and we've got all of the images. And if I mouse over these, you can see all of them have been correctly sized, and none of them will break the limits for Camera Club rules. Pretty quick and easy way to do a routine job, and of course it makes sure we never make a mistake.